robo-struts. Fearless the guardian on wordy trucks, with silver chrome beam guns and red neon eyes. Doc charges on his red mutants die. Gordox the great Stegosaurus robo-struts. Red mutant titan fires with laser beam flux. Blue against red Brutox and Gordox clash. To rule robot world, they battle blast to smash. Brutox the great Stegosaurus robo-struts. Red mutant titan fires with laser beam flux. Blue against red Brutox and Gordox clash. To rule robot world, they battle blast and smash. Brutox fights with fellow blue guardian alone. Terox and Bardox rallying blues with techno cries. Battle Reptex runner and Terra Blue charge. Sector slither and Star laser discharge. Destroy the red mutants so Brutox bold. Redox and Gordox, the Iron Leader's code. Losing Vivus falls, the red horn remains. With schematics, the Zoid is Kylo's gauge. From its blueprints, Kylo's Darkhorn is made. Kylo's empire has its new dark Zoid blade. Tyrannosaurus, sword of Kylo's real. The Darkhorn forged with iron, brass, and steel. Powered by Dio, Calicum Dark Zoid. Black, gray, and green, Darkhorn would be destroyed. Cybernetic walking fortress, Darkhorn. With Calicum purely brings the scorn. Based on the Zinebus red horn in form. Tyrannosaurus, like Darkhorn brings the storm. Cybernetic walking fortress, Darkhorn. With Calicum purely brings the scorn. Based on the Zinebus red horn in form. Tyrannosaurus, like Darkhorn brings the storm. Crusher horn will smash through any bunker. With linear cannon, Darkhorn's no junker. With two-barrel beam gun, he screens the skies, shooting down Helixoids amid their cries. But with the end of the war, Darkhorn falls, resources gone. Old Zoids answer the calls. Revive the red horn Zoid to serve once more. Black steel changed to red, sees the Helix shore. Cybernetic walking fortress, Darkhorn. With Calicum purely brings the scorn. Based on the Zinebus red horn in form. Tyrannosaurus, like Darkhorn brings the storm. Some yet live, like gray and green Zoids, Darkhorn still to give. Few in number their might, its legend make. Helixoids must still fear Darkhorn in their wake. Cybernetic walking fortress, Darkhorn. With Calicum fuel, he brings the scorn. Based on the Zinebus